And what we're seeing here is the shifting and the changing of the complexion of this war. At this point, there is no indication that there's a hot war. There's no longer the two sides exchanging bombs, airstrikes, and missiles, and drone attacks. The arena has shifted from Iran, from the Gulf states, from Israel to the Persian Gulf, to the Strait of Hormuz. And the tactic seems to be U.S. naval forces, U.S. Marines, U.S. forces, and Iranian forces trying to block, seize, and disrupt as many commercial vessels as possible. And the greater strategy, the greater objective seems to be to create as much economic pain as possible for the other side. So the enemy will say, okay, we surrender, we give in. We'll either come to the negotiating table or accept your conditions. The problem is neither side is backing down. Both sides are digging in, but certainly this conflict is intensifying over the past couple of hours, with the arena now focusing on the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz.
And you mentioned that waterway once again, Reza, which is key to what is happening. There have been spectacular images of Marines boarding ships, and clearly this is indicative of how the tension there is rising almost by the minute.
Yeah, over the past 24 hours, 48 hours, Iranian forces, the Revolutionary Guard, seizing two commercial vessels, the Revolutionary Guard showing video of one of the ships being seized. The video showed masked and armed gunmen climbing the ship with a rope ladder. The Revolutionary Guard saying these two ships were not authorized to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. And when you look at the video, the contrast between the small size of the gunboat is striking when you compare it to the massive commercial vessel. And it's an indication of how little it takes for Iranian forces to disrupt the flow of commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. forces doing the same thing, but with much bigger weapons and bigger vessels. Today, the Defense Department in the United States saying they seized a ship carrying oil from Iran to the Indian Ocean. And of course, U.S. President Donald Trump announcing a shoot to kill order against any Iranian vessel that's mining the Persian Gulf. Of course, Iranians saying they've never mined the Persian Gulf. All of this against the backdrop of the possibility of diplomacy. Tehran is saying that diplomacy is useless with the violation of the ceasefire, namely the U.S. naval blockade. But the impression here is if the U.S. naval blockade is lifted, Iran would consider lifting restrictions in the Strait of Hormuz, and then maybe diplomacy would have a chance, but no indication of that happening at this time.
Reza Sayah in Tehran, thank you very much, as always, for bringing the analysis that you do to what is a very delicate situation. Every time we speak, it's basically sending that message, of course, every time about how complex the situation is. Reza, thank you, as always, for your analysis.